Happy Thursday. Welcome to my Facebook Live. I am April Davis with April Davis Creations, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I live in Spring Hill, Kansas. Thank you for being here. Today is Thursday, October 17th, and I am excited to share the cards that I have for you tonight. We're utilizing the Autumn Expressions bundle, and you know, it's fall, the leaves outside are turning colors, and I'm just excited to move into the fall because I'll be moving into Christmas very soon, but I want to share some of the fall with you tonight. Before I actually move on, I do want to just kind of update you on a few of the things that are going on right now. So I'm actually going to share my screen with you, my computer screen with you, so you can see what's going on. One of the first things I want to talk about is the starter kit special that we have going on for the month of October. I'm really not going to spend a lot of time on this tonight because I did a whole video on it last night. It was a short video, but I did do a video on it last night. So it has been uploaded to YouTube. So if you are interested in learning more about my journey with Stampin' Up and how I got involved with Stampin' Up, and also more about the starter kit, please do go out and visit that. I'll be talking about this in the coming weeks until October's over, but since I already did some chatting about it last night, I'm gonna move on to some of the other things that we've got going on with Stampin' Up. So I'm going to change the screen, and I'm going to remind everybody that we have our kits on sale this month. October's a big sale month, and we've got our kits on sale up to 30% off. So if you've had your eye on some of the kits, this is a great time to go ahead and grab them because they are the 30% off, which is amazing. And then also 30% off are all of our close to my heart products. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the fact that when Close to My Heart closed their doors, Stampin' Up worked with a lot of their makers and brought over not only some of the products that Close to My Heart had, but we had a lot of makers join us, which is so exciting because we're moving into scrapbooking as well as card making. And these Close to My Heart makers are amazing scrapbookers. I have so much to learn from them. But right now, as Stampin' Up is developing their own line of Stampin' Up products, they have Close to My Heart products that they brought over. And those products right now are on sale for 30% off. So don't miss out on that. The last thing I want to talk about before we talk about the to-go class is my surprise holiday card box. It's a surprise, so I can't really show you anything, but I did want you to be aware that there is one, and I'm just double checking. Yep, okay. I was just double checking that I was live. But I have partnered with my friend in New York, Marcia, who is also Wendy Acres Stamper, and we have created a surprise holiday card box. And what's fun about this surprise holiday card box is that you will make 11 cards from one sheet of DSP. Amazing. Now, what's fun about this is we're going into the holidays, and so it is a holiday box, and we're going to give you an entire package of 12 by 12 designer series paper. You're only going to utilize one sheet for the kit that we're sending you, but that means you've got a number of sheets left over to make more cards. So the One Sheet Wonder makes 11 cards. If you're sending out more than 11 cards for the holidays, you've got plenty of paper, ribbon, and embellishments that you're going to be able to create even more cards. And of course, for those first 11 cards, we're going to provide all the card stock and a tutorial, so you'll have everything you need. And it'll be so fun because when you open up your box, it'll be a surprise. So if you are interested in the surprise holiday card box, go to my website, April Davis Creations, go to classes and clubs, and come down to surprise holiday card box. All the information for the surprise holiday card box is listed on my website. I need to remind you that you need to register by October 27th. This is going to give us time to place our order so we can get your kits cut, and then we are going to have that box shipped out to you by November the 12th. So you're going to have plenty of time to be able to create your cards. So fun, really a lot of fun. So I wanted to chat with you about that, and we'll go back up to classes and clubs, and we'll go to the to-go class, because that's what tonight is. I'm going to share with you 3 cards that, and I'll show you them in real life in just a second, but we've got 3 cards that we're making from the Autumn Expressions bundle. If you are interested in receiving the kit for these cards for free, all you need to do is place an order in my online store. Minimum $40 order before tax and shipping, and just place it by the 21st of October. Be sure to use this host code when you place your order. That way I'll know that you're interested in the to-go class, and then I will go ahead and have it. I didn't change this date. It's going to be shipped out on or near the 22nd or the 23rd of November. So right around there. I try to get those out immediately. So ignore that October 15th date. But you'll get the kit for free if you place an order on my online store. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to come back up and see you and change my screen here just a little bit. And I'm going to start to share with you the cards that we're going to be making tonight. Again, we're going to be utilizing the Autumn Expressions bundle. And with this bundle, we're utilizing, I'm sorry guys, I'm just doing some checking. We'll be utilizing the stamps, obviously, but we're also going to be utilizing the dies. And the other thing that I want to share with you is that I loved this set so much. We're going to be doing some additional cards next week as well. So we're going to start out simple tonight, some very simple cards, and then I'm going to step it up just a notch for the cards for next week. And you'll see that. If you are watching tonight, if you're joining me tonight, please do say hello. I would love to know who's joining me and where you're from. These are the cards that we're going to be making tonight. And another reason why I love this set is I love, love, love how large the sentiments are on the stamps. So we've got Grateful for You, we've got Change Can Be Beautiful, and we have a perfectly lovely day. Fun, fun cards. We're going to go ahead and get started with Grateful for You. So let me bring that kit out. And we have Crumb Cake cardstock. I have the Pretty Peacock cardstock. I have a piece of Designer Series paper, and this Designer Series paper is from the Nests of Winter Designer Series paper. So we're utilizing that. Then I've also gone ahead and die cut, and I'm going to show you the die that we're going to be utilizing this with. But this is fun because it looks like it might be layered, but it's not going to be layered, and you'll see that. And then I've got a couple of little leaves in here that I've cut out that go with it. And these leaves are from the oxidized copper specialty paper that we've got. I love, love this paper. So when I saw that we had the Pretty Peacock, these have the Pretty Peacock in them as well. So I thought that was so pretty. So let's go ahead and get this card created. I guess the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stamp, and I'm going to bring out my Pretty Peacock ink. And we're doing Grateful for You. So I'm going to bring in the Grateful for You stamp. And we're just going to tap, tap, tap. I'm going to double check, make sure I've got good coating on the back. I do. I'm going to line this up and try to get it centered as best I can without getting my head too much in the way. So Grateful for You. I'm kind of looking from side to side, and I'm just going to commit. Stamp. And up. Perfect. All right. Bring in my Simply Chamois real quick so I can get the ink off this stamp. I do that obviously because it's good to get the ink off the stamp, but also I'm notorious for getting my fingers in the inks. So I clean my stamp and I put my ink away so I don't mess up my card. So we've got this. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start building the card. Oh, hi Diana. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. I'm excited to have you here tonight. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to adhere the Designer Series paper to the Pretty Peacock cardstock. And you can see I'm just centering it from top to bottom. It's cut the same width as the cardstock. So we're just going to center that. Got my glue on the back here. And then I'm just gonna place this down. You know, I all love the glue because I can wiggle things around. I've been doing a lot of fair favors the last couple days because I am going to be participating in a couple of craft fairs. Not this weekend, but the next 2 weekends. And just to go fast, I've been using the tape, and I do like the tape. However, once you go down with the tape, you're pretty much committed, and I like to be able to have a little bit of wiggle room. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and get this adhered to the card. I'm coming down just a little ways, but you know what I did? I did mess up. I'm going to pull this off for just a second, and I'm going to bring in my silicone mat. The nice thing about the silicone mat is I have glue on the back of this, so you guys get to watch me make a mistake. I was so excited, I forgot that I had more stamping to do. But basically, the silicone mat, I can put this down and it'll come back up. So it's kind of like almost having a sticker. But what I want to do is I really wanted to stamp on this. I've already got it down on my pretty peacock, so we're just going to go with it. But I'm going to bring out my crumb cake. So we're going to do basically tone on tone. I'm going to move this out of the way for just a second. And I'm going to bring in what I'm going to call the wheat stamp. I mean, it looks like wheat to me. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a layer of wheat all along the bottom. Now, of course, I would have done this before I was actually stamping on, before I adhered it to the cardstock, but since I messed up, we're just going to go with it the way that it is. But basically, I'm bringing this all along the edges. I can go a little high, I can go a little low, and I'm just going to do tone on tone with this crumb cake. And it just adds such a pretty, I don't know, I just like adding the stamping on the designer series paper. I'm going to move this over for just a second, and you can see it pulls up just because I want to get a little bit of wheat right here. So there we've got it. Doesn't look too bad. Yes, it's on the turquoise, but that's okay. All right, so let me clean this up, and then we'll get back to where I was before. Clean that up. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to add more glue now to my card base since it's dried, and we'll go again. All right, back over here, and if you guys hadn't, I got to turn it over. If you guys hadn't seen it happen, you might not even know that I had actually had that little faux pas. Let me go ahead and get this centered the way that I want it. There we go. It's all good. Yay. Okay, so let's talk about this piece. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere it down first. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this border, and I want to show you how this was done. If you go into this set, there's actually these dies that we're going to be utilizing this next week. So I'm going to show you two different ways that you can utilize it. Obviously, you can cut it like this, and it becomes, how do I want to explain it? It folds in the middle, and it becomes like a little folder, but you've got this opening. What I did is I went ahead and cut it, and then I just took this piece out and trimmed it up. And now I can utilize it to border. And so obviously I used two different colors. So I used the white, and then I used the pretty peacock. So that's how we got that. And then again, I'll show you how to utilize this as a whole piece next week when we're creating cards. But let me go ahead, and we're gonna get this adhered down first. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I'm going to place it right. I need to make sure I leave enough room for my border as well. So I'm going to come down just a little bit and get this adhered. Okay. And then I have my little precision tip glue bottle, and I'm just going to do like little dots around the border of this pretty peacock piece. I don't want to do too much because if I do too much, then the glue will kind of squish out and I don't really need that much glue. So we're just going to go around the borders. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and fit this right around this piece. So now it all becomes one piece. All right. So I've got that. Isn't that pretty? I love that. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our leaves, our beautiful, beautiful leaves. So these are going to go down with dimensionals. So let me pull my dimensionals out and my tweezers, and I'm going to put just one dimensional behind each of them. I just want to make sure when I do it, this has got a little bit more of the turquoise showing, so I want that to show. And then I'm just thinking about where I want it to be because I don't want them to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want them to compete with each other. I don't want the dimensionals to compete with each other. So I want to make sure that when I get this down that we've got enough room that they're not overlapping each other where the dimensionals are. It's okay if they overlap, but we only want one layer of dimensionals. Okay, so that looks good to me. So I'm going to put this one down first, and I'm going to take your pick. Oops. Get that off. And this leaf's going to go about right here. And then I'm going to take the dimensional off of this one. Or the backing of the dimensional, I should say. And then I'm just going to kind of get this so that it is right next door to it. Okay, so now we've got our leaves, and then I'm going to bring in my linen thread. Linen thread is a staple for me when I'm creating, and I'm going to tie a double bow. So I'm going to get enough thread that I can tie a double bow. And we'll get that done. And I just have to do a little finessing with the thread to get it so it's all nice and straight. And I've got ends that I can clip off. So here are my ends. So I need to pull this down. I just have to finesse it a little bit. All right, this is my other end. And it looks like this side is a little bit bigger. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my ribbon snips and I'm just gonna trim all that off. And so now I do have my bow. My bow is gonna go right here. And it's gonna go right about where the leaves meet. I'm gonna try to tuck it in if I can, where the little stems are of the bows, or the leaves. So I'm gonna take my mini glue dots and I'm just going to take one with my take your pick, and I'll put it on the back of this bow. Get it on there. These glue dots are really, really sticky. They do a good job. And then I'm just gonna kind of tuck this into the center right here. There we go. Look how pretty that card is. And it was so easy. Just remember to stamp your DSP before you adhere it to your cardstock. It looks fine. You would never know if you hadn't seen me do it. But I love this card, and it was just so easy to make. So that was card number 1. All right, let's bring in card number 2. Card number 2, I'm going to share the kit with you on that. We have some basic beige cardstock. We have our cherry cobbler cardstock. I have some very vanilla cardstock that we're going to stamp on. I'm also going to use very vanilla for the sentiment. And I've got 2 little leaves that I cut out of old olive and wild wheat. And these little leaves come right here with the set. So we've got that. I'm looking here too. I'll I'll have to find out which set what the label was. I didn't bring that set over, and I'm not remembering where the label came from, but I will figure it out and put it in the description when I upload it to YouTube. But we've got a label that we cut out, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start my stamping with the cherry cobbler, and we are going to do Change is Beautiful for that. So make sure I get a good coverage on this. It looks good. I'm gonna get this centered. I like to use my grid to help me get it lined up. And then I'm gonna commit to right here. Okay, that's good. We'll get this cleaned up. And then I'm also going to stamp our leaves on the other piece of Very Vanilla. Let me close this up. I'm gonna pull out the Memento. I'm stepping away for just a quick second. Oh, it's right here. I have like 3 different ones, and I got them all over in different stations. So we're going to take our little, I think it's a maple leaf, I think. I get confused between maple and oak. I think this is a maple, but if I'm wrong, you guys let me know. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece, and we're just going to stamp our leaves like they're falling leaves. So I'm gonna stamp off of this one, and I am stamping on my glass mat, so I'll take my chamois and clean this up in just a second, but I'm gonna stamp here. Got a little bit on my glass mat. And then I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna do it this way. And then I'll do another one going this way, I think. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit higher because I went a little low on the last card. And then I'm gonna take this one, and I'm going to I'm gonna twist it, and it's gonna go this way. Okay. There we go. So now we've got our leaves, and I'm going to use my Stampin' blends to color in the leaves, and that it'll go fairly quickly. These are pretty simple to color, but I'm gonna start with my cherry cobbler, cherry cobbler. And I'm gonna start with the light. I'm gonna actually color them in with the light, and then I'm gonna use the dark to do the veins in the leaves. So let's go ahead and get started on this, and I'm just gonna get them outlined. The leaves are finally starting to turn colors here. I know when I lived in the Boston area in Massachusetts, the trees were incredible. Incredible. I had always heard that they were gorgeous, but it wasn't until I actually lived there that I got to experience it. And here in Kansas, I think our leaves are pretty much 2 colors, yellow and brown. I think if you have a specialty tree, you might get some red out of it, but for the most part, when you're driving down the highway, it's yellow and brown. So I do miss the leaves in the Northeast, but I am starting to see a change in the color of the trees. It's been really dry here. I think that if we had had maybe more moisture, the leaves might have changed sooner, or maybe had been more vibrant, but we definitely are seeing the change. So, okay, leaf number 1. Now I'm going to bring in some wild wheat, and we're gonna start with the light wild wheat. I like to color with my bullet tips. Only when I'm like doing large areas will I use the brush tip. Otherwise, I just feel like I have more control when I'm using the bullet tip. And ever since I was a kid, I've always outlined before I actually color things in. So that way it prevents me from going outside the lines, or at least it helps me. It doesn't mean that I don't go outside the lines periodically, but it does help me from going outside the lines. So we'll go ahead and get this. I'm putting in the darker, and I'm just coloring in the veins just to kind of add a little bit of interest to them. So let's go ahead and get this one done. And then now I'm going to move to my next color, which is going to be pecan pie. So we're going to use the light pecan pie. These really are simple to color. The temperature has changed. It's definitely cooler. Yesterday morning there was frost on the ground. So I honestly feel like perhaps summer has finally said goodbye, because we had some really warm days. I feel like summer has finally said goodbye and fall is here. And fall is my favorite season. In fact, I named my daughter Autumn. Part of it was because I'm April, so I wanted to start a tradition where we had like fall or season or month in our names. And so I just knew that if I had a little girl, I wanted to name her Autumn. I loved that name, and it kind of fell right into the tradition that I wanted to create. And then my daughter had a little girl. Her first child was a little girl, and she named her Briar. So it wasn't really in the tradition, although I love the name Briar. But when their second daughter was born, they named her Kate, and Kate's middle name is May. So M-A-Y. So Autumn did follow through on the tradition, and now Kate will need to, when she's only 5, but when she gets older and has her own children, hopefully she will help keep the tradition, and we can keep a season or a month in the, I don't know, in the naming, just to start that kind of tradition. There's lots of names, you know, June and January and August and September, and there's a lot of names. Winter. So I'm hoping that Kate will follow through, but I have to wait a while before I know if that happens or not. All right, we got our leaves stamped, and we have them colored in. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in a ribbon. This is cherry cobbler and gold ribbon. And basically what I'm going to do is I am going to just trim off enough ribbon so that I can wrap it around the card. This is my way of saving on ribbon. And I do have my Stampin' Seal. I'm going to use that just to help adhere the ribbon to the card. So I'm going to take a little piece of Stampin' Seal here, and then I can put one end of the ribbon on the Stampin' Seal. Then what I can do is I can wrap this around, and then I can put the rest of it on this side and wrap it over. And now I have my ribbon on here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with my ribbon, and I'm going to tie a bow. I'm not going to adhere the bow just yet, but I am going to tie a bow. So we'll go ahead and get our bow tied. And again, work it around. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to take my ribbon snips, and I specifically have ribbon snips. I keep a little ribbon tied to the end of it. Paper dulls your scissors. And when you get ready to cut ribbon, it's hard to cut your ribbon because your scissors are dull. It pulls and tugs on your ribbon. So I use paper snips for paper and ribbon snips for the ribbon. And that way my ribbon will always cut nice and sharp. All right, so I'm gonna move that out of the way. What I have to do though is sometimes those snips, I'm not paying attention and I'll pick them up, and the next thing you know, I'm actually cutting my paper with my ribbon snips, which is not good. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're going to adhere this cardstock layer to my cherry cobbler layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this down. And I will make sure I get it centered. Okay, and then we've got the Change is Beautiful, and I am going to, I didn't come down very far with my ribbons, so I'm trying to decide, do I want to come up, or maybe some of that ribbon's going to show from the top of it. I think that's what I'm going to do, because I don't want the sentiment to go up too high, but I just didn't put my ribbon down as low as I did on my last card. So let's go ahead and let's get some dimensionals on the back of here. And I'm going to put one in the middle just to prevent middle sag. Make sure they're adhered. I'll use my take your pick to pull the backs of the dimensions off. Put these in the bin. And then let me see. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably line this up maybe right about here. I just want to make sure I'm getting it straight. So I'm looking at it and it actually looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to adhere my bow. But before I adhere my bow, I want to go ahead and get my leaves down. So I'm going to probably layer my leaves. I'm going to put dimensionals on those. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and put my wild wheat one down first. So let me bring my dimensionals back over again. And we'll get, is that the right side? Yep, that's the right side. Get my wild wheat one down first. And then I'll figure out how I want to do my other one, where I'm going to put my dimensional. So I'm going to put it about right here. So I'm going to put my dimensional right up at the top. That way, again, it won't be in conflict with the other leaf that already has a dimensional on it. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll get this one down. And I'm going to kind of tuck it in just a little bit and over. And then what we'll do is we'll take our glue dot. See, I need to tighten this up just a little bit. It's loosening up. So let me play with this for just a second. Here we go. So I'm going to take my glue dot. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it like right here on the end. And then I'll just take the ribbon and put it over the top of it. If I can get it off my finger, it's pretty sticky. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll take the ribbon, we'll go right over the top. It's right here on the corner. And I've got a few embellishments that we're gonna put on. This particular one, I'm gonna use the faux glass dots. And I'm actually gonna use the darker of the two. And let's see, see if I can get these picked up with my take your pick. Maybe one here. And I'm going to take a smaller one right here. And then I'm going to take another one. I wanted these to look more like the colors of the leaves. We'll put one here. Okay, move that off to the side. And the only other thing we have left to do now is to put it on the card base, and this card will be done. So let's do that. And then we'll go ahead and get this down. I almost forgot the card base. It's looking so pretty without it. All right, got that. Make sure I've got to go in the right direction. And I'm going to do some scooching because I can tell I'm not quite straight. There you go. Card number 2. So pretty. I love the fall leaves. Alrighty, moving right along. We're going to move into card number 3. And card number 3, I decided I wanted to bring the boho blue in. I love the color boho blue. And I thought this can still be a fall looking card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the stamp that looks like the inside of a cut down tree. And let me bring this over. I've got my boho blue cardstock. I have some pecan pie cardstock. That'll be our base. I have another piece of the Nests of Winter cardstock. We're going to use it as the background, and we're going to be stamping on this. And then I also have the dies that this cuts out in 2 pieces. But I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time, is I'm going to make this a border. And then in the set as well, you can cut out the leaves. And since I was using the boho blue, I decided that I wanted blue leaves because I can pick whatever color I want to, and I want a blue. All right, so let's go ahead and let's do some stamping first. I'm going to move this stuff off to the side just so it's not in my way and I don't mess it up. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out my pecan pie ink, and we are going to just stamp, what would we call this? Like the inside of a tree, the parallel, I don't know. It's part, I'm saying it looks like wood, like a tree. I don't know what you call it once the tree is cut down, but I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do some stamping, and I'm gonna stamp off, and I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna wipe off my glass mat once we've got all the stamping done. But I'm not being perfect with this. I'm just gonna kind of go around. The center of it's gonna be filled in with the sentiment and the label anyway. So we've got that. Let me go ahead and get my mess cleaned up. So I'm actually going to bring in my, you could use your Simply Chamois, or I have the chamois that comes with the glass mat. So I can go ahead and use this to get that all cleaned up. And then I can also, if I choose to, I could use this just to clean off my stamp. And since I've already got it here, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So now we've got our mess cleaned up. And I do have some more stamping to do with the pecan pie. So I'm going to bring my label back in. And this time we are going to use the stamp Have a Perfectly Lovely Day. So let's go ahead and get this inked up, double checking to make sure I've got good coverage. Part of the reason I do this is because I use my inks a lot, and sometimes they end up like, I don't want to say being dry in the middle, but there might be more ink in one area of the stamp pad than another area. And so I just want to double check to make sure that I'm getting a fair coating of ink on the stamp all the way around so that I'm not, missing out on something. All right, so let's go ahead and clean this off, get this closed up, and we are going to start to build this card. So first thing I'm going to do is I am going to layer this piece onto our pecan pie cardstock. So we'll get that done. Alrighty. Double checking to make sure I'm straight. I have learned since I've been working on the fair favors that I can be straight when I'm working with smaller pieces. Actually, I'm pretty good with the smaller pieces. It's when I get to these bigger pieces that straight just kind of doesn't happen as much. So anyway, now I'm going to bring back in my linen thread again, and I am going to wrap around my card. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail here so that I can tie a bow, but I'm going to wrap around my card a couple of times. And I need about that much room so that I can tie my bow. So I'm going to trim it off here. And then we're going to kind of keep this not necessarily in the center. I need a little bit of wiggle room here for it. I'm trying to move it up a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and tie our little knot in it. But I want to make sure I get it tight. I don't want it loose. So I'm just playing around with it just a little bit so that I get it the way that I want it. Okay. I think that's where I want it. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie a knot before I tie my bow because I want it pretty much to stay put. And then what I can do is I can, if I need to move this, for example, if I want to move it over a little bit because maybe it's over too far this way, what I can do is I can bend my cardstock, and that will give me a little bit of freedom to be able to move this. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my, well, let's go ahead and tie the bow. Let's just go ahead and do that. I can adjust it if I need to after we get our label down, but let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do a big bow, and then we'll trim these off here in just a second. Trim this up just a little bit. All right, now let's go ahead and put our label on. Or, let me see, do we want to put our label on now? I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the cardstock. I think I need a little bit of support for the linen thread so it's not so loosey-goosey. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put glue on the back here. And I'll get this adhered. All right. Get this turned around and make sure I've got it going the right direction, and I do. And then we'll get this down, and then I'll have, oh, it won't be quite so loosey-goosey. See, the glue help me move things around. So I'm going to move this up again. It kind of slid. Okay. Making sure we've got everything. That looks good. I am going to take a little bit of a glue dot and put it right behind my bow so that my bow is stabilized just a little bit. So I'm going to take this and just kind of roll it up into a little bit of a ball. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm going to place it right under here. And then that way my bow is going to stay in place, which will make things easier as well. And then, like I said, I'll trim this off in just a second. Okay, now time for the sentiment. Basically what I'm going to do with the sentiment is I'm putting it up on dimensionals. And one of the things that I realized is that I really wanted to put this underneath the linen thread, kind of thinking as I'm going along. So I am actually going to put this under the linen thread versus on top of the linen thread. So I'm still going to put the other one on dimensionals, but before I do that, I'm going to put this down. So I'm going to slide this under the linen thread, and I've got plenty of room to do that. And we'll get this put down probably right about here, I'm thinking. That looks good to me. And then what I'll do is I'll put dimensionals on the back of this. And I'm going to center it right in the middle of where I put that label down, or the border, I should say. So let's go ahead and do this. Put those in the bin. All right, and then I'm going to work to get this centered right inside this border. And then once I feel good about it, which I don't, I need to come back up here, then I can commit and stick my dimensionals down. All right, so we've got that. So now what I'm gonna do is I want my ends to be just a little long. So I'm gonna go ahead and commit to that. Now what we need to do is we wanna add our leaves. We wanna make sure we get our leaves here. And the leaves are gonna be able to tuck underneath our border. So let me move that out of the way for just a second. And I'm gonna tuck one in here. And basically what I'm gonna do with these is I'm just putting a little bit of glue, little dots of glue, not over the entire thing, just the bottom part that I'm gonna tuck in. And that way I've got something that I can hold on to as well. But I'm gonna tuck this in here. I want my flower or my leaves to stick out a little bit more than the last time. Let me see, this one's gonna tuck in. Whoops, I gotta wait for this to dry. It's not quite dry yet, so I'm gonna give it a chance to dry for just a second. And then I will look to see where I wanna tuck this one in. And I think I wanna tuck that one in right there. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to put little dots behind here, and I'm going to come down a little bit And I'm going to tuck it in a little bit further down. All right. And then if you wanted to, it's not necessary. I like to have a little bit of movement in my cards, but if you wanted to, you saw it just took off the end of my glue dots. I can put a little bit of glue on this. You can do it on a piece of paper as well. But if I wanted to now, what I could do is I could come in and I could just get the underside of that leaf, and that will help hold it down as well, so it's not getting caught. All right, now I'm gonna take my bow and I'm gonna kind of straighten it up since I had moved it out of the way. So it's got a little bit more movement and freedom, like that a lot. And then I'm gonna bring in my tinsel gems. This is a 3-pack and I have a lot of blue left. So I thought, oh, I'll just use this blue. And I'm gonna add a few dimensional, or not dimensionals, but some gems to this card. So we've got one here, and I do another one right here. I like to do little kind of triangles, if you will. And so let me see, I'm gonna bring this one down here. So it's a long triangle, but I typically tend to put 3 embellishments on my cards. I like odd numbers. And there you go. Here's card number 3. Isn't that pretty? And how easy was that? That was so, so easy. So let me bring these all back in again. Let me clear my space up so that you guys can see everything that I've done. We've got these cards. Have a perfectly lovely day. Then we have this card, Change is Beautiful. And then we've got Grateful for You. So let me move these over so you guys can see all of those. But how fun is that? This is a fun stamp set. And like I said, I will be utilizing the stamp set again next week. These were very easy cards. We're gonna step it up just a tad so you can see what these stamps and these dies are capable of doing. So let me come back just so that I can say goodbye. I'm so glad you guys were here. Diana, thank you for saying hello. I'm so glad you were able to join tonight, especially since it's your first time you've had a chance to do that. And remember, this is a to-go class. So if you are interested in getting this kit for free, you need to place an order in my online store by Monday, and be sure to use the host code. So I'm going to pull the host code up again. It's actually on my website, so you don't have to memorize it or write it down right now, but be sure to use the host code. And then the other thing is that since am continuing to build both my Facebook channel and my YouTube channel, if you would like and share, and if you go out to YouTube, if you would subscribe to my channel, that would be very helpful, because the more people that subscribe and like and share, it enables me to be able to reach more people as well. So thank you again. I'm so glad to have you here tonight, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.